Live. Yes, I am. Okay. So, let's go back to where we were. And this is going to be an interesting one. At least I think so. Let's see. I'll wait until one or two people are here and then we'll get going. Okay. Good. Good. Live. Do I have audio? Do I have video? Hey, Tenebrous is here. How you doing, man? How was Shabbos? How are you doing? I haven't checked audio or video yet. I'm assuming that it's okay, but let me know if it's not. Hang on. Yes? No? Why can't I hear it? Ah, here it is. There it is. Okay. It's the Nazarite bringing you Hebrew lore from days of yore. I am live, and all seems to be good. Now, okay, so Dominic. Wait, you know what? I'll go to the original post. The original post was from Dominic Ammo 25, and a few days ago he said, I've decided not to buy any products made in Israel or owned by Israelis for the rest of my life. Now hold on, let's put it in a poll. Is it actually possible to boycott Israel? Is it actually, technically, and practically possible to boycott Israel nowadays? Let's see. Yes or no? Let's start that poll. Okay, good. So, let's read a few of the comments that you lovely people made. Hey, oh, something came in, but it was just the poll popping up, and I thought it was somebody saying something. All right, 43 comments so far, and this was from a couple of days ago. Okay. DG Riff says, except they are the few manufacturing quality products and healthy good exports. Your anger might be a little misled, brother. So he says, yes, I understand your anger, but it might be misled. Hey, Shags is here. Much love, you beautiful human. Thank you. How are you doing, Shags? How is your weekend coming along? No naot for you, said Mike. My eyes couldn't roll any farther in the back of my skull. Yes, there are those who say it's unbelievably naive to think that you would be able to boycott, and again, politics aside, let's not forget, right? I'm not talking about politically. I'm not talking about whether or not it's justifiable. I'm not talking about whether or not it's moral or ethical or indeed necessary, whatever it may be. Is it indeed possible to boycott Israel nowadays? Is it actually possible? I mean, when you contend with the idea that they have such a hand in industry and innovation, technology, anything and everything. Okay, let's continue. What about the quality, says Beth. I love skin products from Israel, Dead Sea mud. Have you ever been there? So beautiful. Try and get there to celebrate Passover. Don't hate, celebrate, she says. Drink the Kool-Aid said, get off your phone or PC or laptop or tablet then. Exactly right. Many people in the comments were telling Dominic, there's no way that you could boycott Israel actually unless you give up a ton of things that are your mainstay, that are part of your everyday life. Coming to an end, it's 5 p.m. Sunday and I'm sitting by the river. Nice, sitting by the river. That's lovely. Good for you. Hey, Glenn Golding is here. How you doing? I'm in Adelaide, South Australia. What fun. That's great, man. I'm glad you had a good weekend. I hope you have good plans for the coming week. All right. BMXers says, I've already said this to him, but I'll say this again. It's not possible, given the very technology he's using in day-to-day life was either invented or made in Israel itself. But I don't think any of them will throw away all that technology, says BMXers. Even if they know it's from Israel, it's just them expressing how they feel. Toda Salam said, good luck finding decent falafels then. Now, with this, I disagree. You can obviously find decent falafel a lot of other places in the world. More of them in the Middle East, I would think. But I might be wrong. Bobtail Squid said, why? You're only going to make your own life worse by doing that, right? If you boycott Israel, you'll make your own life worse. Hey, Frederick is here. That's lovely. Okay, so 10 votes in. Is it technically and practically possible to boycott Israel? No, it's not, says 80% of you. 4 and 5 said no. It's gone even further now. And I'm inclined to agree. Look, I'm Israeli. I'm not saying, again, this is not a political thing. This is not a political thing. This is not you should because they do this and this and that. I'm asking actually. And if it's not Israel, some other world leading, nation that has its hand in a lot of industry, science, technology, medicine, and so on and so forth. It's like if you choose specific things like produce to boycott from Israel, maybe that you can pull off. As somebody said, the Eurovision. Somebody mentioned the Eurovision, and they mentioned produce. It's like, yes, that you can do. Other things they said, there's no way you'd be able to avoid it without really going back to living way back. Oh yeah, and I just happened across that right now. He said, woohoo, yee-hoo, said, no, it's not possible. Fully boycotting Israel means boycotting almost all technology, since most of it is made by companies linked to Israel somehow, which is basically just living primitively. So by all means, if you do want to live primitively, it's possible. If you don't want to live primitively, it's less possible. America First said, no, it won't be that effective. Well, again, I'm not talking about efficacy, because I'm not talking about a political movement or BDS or why not. I'm actually asking, is it possible technically? Because this person said that he is never going to buy anything Israeli again, and many people in the comments said, good luck to you, bud. It won't be that effective since people tried that after COVID-19 by trying to boycott Chinese-made products. It's not going to work unless the American companies who have products manufactured in Israel close those locations, sell the buildings, and find another location that has the same type of educated workforce. So yeah, he's got a point there. New Orleans Soul said, put down your cell phone because it's full of Israeli-made apps and software. North Star said, I am one of the boycotters, and I am boycotting because the money, we're not, again, that's a comment somebody made. It's not a political thing, people. It's not a political thing. Okay, let's see what's going on here in the chat. We should submit to the government, but Jesus first, says, Halcyon Sabbath. Hey, Halcyon, good to see you. Are those ears hiding horns, says Bob Dole. No, these are the ears. The horns come out when I get very angry, kind of like the Hulk. Get a job. I do have a job. Thank God for that. I have a job. I wanted to broadcast first, and then I'm going to start working. Safari says, why you guys want to expand at the cost of millions of people getting killed and suffered from your invasions? First of all, it's not invasions, because this is our ancestral home. Second of all, it's not the case of expansion. If we wanted to expand, we wouldn't pull out of Gaza. If we wanted to expand, we wouldn't give back Sinai. If we wanted to expand, we wouldn't pull out of Lebanon. And if we wanted to expand, we wouldn't be offering time and time again Gaza, the West Bank, and parts of East Jerusalem as the Palestinian capital to the Palestinian leadership, who keeps rejecting each and every offer because they don't want peace. They want all of it. They don't want a piece or peace. They want all of it. So it's not invasion. And it's not, and you know what? If you're talking about the cost of millions of people getting killed and suffering, then talk to your freedom fighter terrorist buddies. I can't get this straight. What's going on? There we go. That's better. Yes. So, Safari, talk to Hamas, talk to Hezbollah, talk to the Palestinian Authority, talk to Fatah, talk to the Al-Aqsa Brigade. I love boycotting, says M.A. Oh, well, that's great. Good for you. I'm happy for you. Why don't we live along together in peace? Do Arabs have any right to live in Israel? Arabs have right to live in Israel. There are Arab Christians, Arab Muslims, and Arab Jews. All three of them live in Israel. There are 2 million Christian and Muslim Arabs. There are, well, not a very small percentage of Arab Jews, and I mean who came like in the last decade or two that I know of. Yaakov Mishka said 50,000 killed, not millions. King Hussein killed 10,000 Palestinians in 1 week. Yes, Black September, was that it? Do you eat animals? No, Shiva, I do not eat animals. I've been vegan for 16 years, and before that I was vegetarian for a year or two. So no, I have not eaten animals in almost 2 decades. What the hell are you doing in Syria then? Well, as far as I know, if we are in Syria, it is because Hezbollah has a stronghold there and in Lebanon. And since the Syrian people are doing nothing, or leadership, I should say, since the Syrian leadership is not managing to quell the Hezbollah presence, and since the Lebanese government is not able to do anything about the Hezbollah, we need to actually defend our borders. I know, shocking, a sovereign nation, a country wanting to defend its borders. Oh, perish the thought. Yes, it actually happens. Countries do want to defend their borders, and Israel is a country, despite what you may think, it is indeed a sovereign nation. And as such, we have the right to defend ourselves. There are no such thing as Arab Jews. That is false. All of the Jews, I personally worked for months with a Jew who came from Syria. And he was an Arab Jew. What are you talking about? All of the Arabs, all of the Jews who came from Arab places that the Arabs took over and conquered and invaded, Arabs come from Arabia. There was a great conquest that took many, many, many years, or not that many years, depending on who you ask. And at the end of it, right, and the Islamic, the Islamic influence everywhere. And so Arabs and Muslims, they are the ones who are expanding, continue to expand, and have expanded, right? And so this person came, there are people who came from Libya, there are people who came from Yemen, there are people who came from Jordan and Egypt and Syria and Lebanon. What are you talking about? Of course there are Arab Jews. There are still currently Jews living in Arab-occupied, let's say, or Arab places that were taken over by the Arab conquest. Siley says, quite honestly, I'm so done with this. It's all hopeless. We're all fucked, and I'm sorry. Hey, don't be sorry. It's all good. I just hope that it doesn't, I hope that you, Siley, do not go too deep into the sadness and that you're able to just, wash your hands clean of it, and that's it. No such thing as Arab Jews. It's amazing what some people come up with. Okay. Let's continue. I want my life to be over. Why won't FuckTube let me say it? Says HCO, because there's the YouTube guidelines and there are algorithms who are basically monitoring conversations and speech, verbal speech as well, and they don't want these things there. They don't want these things on the platform because there are kids here and there are people who are very sensitive here, and I'm not being facetious right now. Isn't Israel taking land in Lebanon? No offense, I honestly don't know. And 800? No, Israel is over there right now cleaning up what the Lebanese government and leadership ought to be doing. They have their own problems, and they have Hamas and Hezbollah on their actual parliament, so it would be very awkward for them to actually do it. But I have a feeling that they are very happy to just sit back, do nothing, and let the IDF do the dirty work. Howard T says, what the fuck are you wearing? These are, what are they, chipmunk ears or some sort of ears? Yeah. Tenebris says, Tal Oren is an Arab Jew. Yes, exactly. Now, do all Arab Jews come from Arabia? No. Do all modern day Arabs come from Arabia? No. But there are Jews who are in Arab countries. There are still Jews in Arab countries. Although after 1948 and the establishment of the State of Israel, there was an actual ethnic cleansing that went on. And if you look at the numbers before 1948 and after 1948 of the numbers of Jews in the Middle East and Arab Muslim nations, you will see exactly what I'm talking about. Why is Israel bombing Beaufort Castle? Well, again, I actually don't know. I don't follow the news. I'm not sure why. I mean, Beaufort used to be a stronghold of Golani, but right of the military. Then when we got out of Lebanon in the year 2000, Hezbollah took it over. I'm assuming they took it over, and it could be that's why the IDF is there now. However, I am actually very sure that if the leadership of Lebanon, right, puts up its resistance, its own resistance, and kicks Hezbollah out, the IDF will have no reason to be there. Lebanon is altogether a peace-loving country. It used to be Christian, now it's majority Muslim, if I'm not mistaken. That still doesn't mean they are all warmongering pieces of shit. Obviously not. Hezbollah is a terrorist organization. They are warmongering pieces of shit. Are you Christian? No, the one and all, I'm not Christian. I'm a Hebrew man here in Jerusalem. Imagine saying Israel is in Lebanon to help Lebanon because their government isn't doing anything. Is anyone actually believing that? No, what I said is that the IDF is there to get rid of the threat that is threatening Israel. I wouldn't be so presumptuous as to say, we are going across the border and taking places over to help the Lebanese government. Will it help the Lebanese government? Time will tell. I didn't say that. Do not put words in my mouth. That is false. And you're full of shit for saying that because I didn't say that. What I did say is that I'm sure that the Lebanese government would not mind if Hezbollah was cleaned out of Lebanon. Racist, not all people who get conquered by Arabs are Arabs. I agree. That's also true. But there was a very lengthy conquest of Arabs and Muslims all over the world, and it's still ongoing. Islam seeks to have the entire world rally under the banner of Allah, right, and of Islam. And so that's still ongoing. So what are you talking about? Is there still an Arab conquest ongoing? No. Islam? Yes. That's what I meant. I'm sorry if you misunderstood. I see, says Anne, so they will clean up and then not seize Lebanon. I don't think so, because if we wanted to seize Lebanon, we would have done so in 1982. We would have done so in 2006. We would have done so in a couple of other times when the IDF went in. I'm pretty sure that the reason why we pulled out of Lebanon in the year 2000, or was it 2001, is because we do not want Lebanon for ourselves. We seriously don't, and that's why we pulled out. Okay, let's continue. Where are you from originally, says Persian soldier. Hi, soldier. Here, born and raised in Israel. Stop killing innocent people, says NC Nick. Why don't you talk to your Hezbollah and Hamas buddies and tell them to stop putting them in the line of fire? These terrorist organizations, they want to maximize civilian casualties for the purposes of propaganda. They revel in death and they love their martyrdom. They want everyone to be shaheeds for the cause and for Allah and for God knows what else. So why don't you talk to them? Israel is fighting a defensive war. We are trying to minimize civilian casualties, and all of the evidence points to this. I mean, are there times when civilians are killed? Yes. Are there times when non-combatants are killed? Yes. Is it sometimes from Israeli fire? Yes. Is it Israel's fault? No. Unequivocally no. Of course, there are individual pieces of shit who are psychotic, who shoot people. Yes, but that is not the majority, not by a long shot. So by all means, talk to your leadership and tell them to tell the Hamas and Hezbollah to lay down their arms and surrender and cease the aggressions and hostilities against the state of Israel. Then we can have some justice. Then we can de-radicalize both sides. Then we can have peace. But to just shout slogans that you know absolutely nothing about is just slogans, and it means absolutely jack shit, because all of the evidence, all of the history, all of the numbers are pointing against what you are saying. What do you think about the recent Iranian propaganda videos? DJILH89 says, I don't know. I do not follow the news unless there's an active ongoing war, right? I don't follow the news, so I have no idea what the latest Iranian propaganda videos are. I really have no idea. Tell me, people, tell me. You shame the real Jews, says Pompey Milk. Who are the real Jews and how am I shaming them? By all means, tell me. There was a ceasefire and Israel violated it, you muppet. Really, there was a ceasefire, THYE3428. Please, by all means, fact check me, tell me, when was the ceasefire and who violated it, and give me the actual date and give me how it was done. Because as far as I know, if you have aggression and hostility from across the border into your border, and Hezbollah and Hamas and the Palestinian Authority are all guilty of that, it means that there is no ceasefire and that we are not the ones who are breaking it. So please, by all means, I am a Muppet, I'll give you that, and I love it. Thank you for the compliment. Which Muppet would I be? Like a new Muppet, or do you think I'm more along the lines of Gonzo or the Swedish Chef? Okay. Raider says, so Israel go to another country and fight them in order to protect themselves. Yes, it's called defending one's borders, and it's called quelling a threat. Is it after or before they take over the land like, say, Gaza? We did not take over the land. Hamas is still ruling there. In fact, we had Gaza for a very long time. Many people died because of the terrorist organizations. We did not take over Gaza. We unilaterally pulled out of Gaza over 20 years ago. And let's think, what did Hamas, who was elected democratically by the people of Gaza, what did they do? Did they build up the infrastructure? No. Did they raise the quality of life for their subjects and their population? No. Did they actually build maybe some bomb shelters or some sort of a defense perimeter? No. What they did was they booby-trapped everything. They built tons of terror tunnels and a vast network of them at that. They put all of their, they got more terrorism and more terrorists, rather, more munitions, more guns, more supplies from their buddies in the Middle East. They took all of your hard-earned humanitarian aid money and they did not spend it on their population. Heaven forbid. They used it to line their pockets and their bank accounts and to expand with their terrorist organization plan, which is to take over Israel. And in the Hamas charter, not once does it say State of Palestine. No, it says Israel will exist and continue to exist until we obliterate it, until Islam obliterates it. It speaks of the Quran, and it speaks of martyrdom, and it speaks of blood, and it speaks of jihad, and it speaks of this and that. Not once does it mention a Palestinian state, ever. Now, maybe that's the old charter. Supposedly there is a newer charter, which I didn't read. I'm not sure when it's from. It's not that new. I doubt that they mentioned that there as well. As for taking over a land, no, we actually pulled tens of thousands of Jews out of Gaza who were living there, and we gave it to the Palestinian people who elected Hamas, a terrorist organization, to be their leaders. There has been no subsequent elections because they are a warmongering, bloodthirsty, death cult leadership, Islamic leadership. All they want is death. They don't want peace. They don't want prosperity, not for their people and not for Israel. And they don't want a Palestinian state. They want everything. That's it. Okay, let's continue. Hebrew Israelites, this is Hebrew Nazarite, wrong channel, bub, says Naughty. Yes, I am not a Hebrew Israelite in the sense of like the Black Hebrew Israelite root movement, whatever the hell that's called. No, I'm not them, they are not me. Whenever I've ever met a Black Hebrew Israelite online, because I don't think I've met a proper one for a dialogue in real life, though they do live here in Israel, but they are always without any, really, they're always really racist and really full of insults, which I don't take personally, of course. That's what they think. They're allowed to do it. Another, is that a rat or an elephant? It's a rat, or mouse. It's another rat on YouTube claiming he's Middle Eastern. You're right, ALG Funk. Me being born in Israel, living in Israel my whole life, speaking Hebrew, being a Hebrew man, following the rituals, reading the Torah. You're right, I'm not Middle Eastern. How foolish of me to think that I'm Middle Eastern when I was born and raised in Israel as a Hebrew man. You're right. Shame on me. What am I then? Please tell me. Because I'm pretty sure there are rats everywhere. So if you're going to say I'm a rat, I'm a Middle Eastern rat. Hey! Not exactly ratatouille. Okay, let's continue. You are a Slavic, says Justin. Really? I'm a Slavic? I'm dying to know how you came up with that one. That is original. Uncanny Mountain says, I think you're schizo. Yes, indeed, I am indeed schizo to the max. That is true. What's your name? I'm Jonathan or Jonathan Nur Walid. I'm assuming your name is Walid. Why did you come to Europe from Europe to Palestine, Muhammad says. Well, this is our ancestral home, and there has been a Hebrew presence here, a Jewish presence here, among others who had a presence here for thousands of years. We decided it was high time to come home, and we did. Some of the Jews are still living in the diaspora, obviously, and the majority of them are here. Ta-da! That's why. What do you think about the Israeli military shooting at Palestinian civilian crowds, says Katten? If they are actually peace-loving civilian crowds, that's one thing. If it's Hamas doing what it does best, which is embedding themselves in the civilian population to maximize civilian casualty for the purposes of propaganda, then no, the blood is on Hamas's hands and not Israel's hands. The blood is on the hands of the military wing of Hamas, which is pretty much Hamas, and not the Israeli army. Let's continue. Kuryan says, do you think once all the Jews scattered all over the world, when they all come back to Jerusalem, the world ends? No, I don't think the world ends. Why would I think that? And yes, the Jews were scattered all over the world, and there is part of them that is the majority of Jews, or 50-50, is in Israel. So near majority, if not just above the majority of Jews, are in Israel. Israel doesn't exist as a state. The resolution of 48 has no legal power whatsoever, says Owl Music Family. Hey, Owl, good to see you again. Yes, there are many who say that the state of Israel is disputed. Yet it doesn't stop them from using Israel's technology and enjoying Israel's innovations and, the medicine and all of the things that Israel does for the world. It's like, I'm pretty sure that the phone that you are holding, I'm pretty sure the tablet, the machines that you use, the technology that you are so conveniently comfortable with, pretty sure that Israel has a hand in that, and I'm pretty sure that makes Israel 100% real. Now, you could live in a delusion, right? I do. So you could do that as well. Nobody's taking that away from you. If you want to be deluded, by all means, be as deluded as you can. Say that Israel doesn't exist while enjoying Israeli innovation and technology. Please do so. It makes it that much more funny, amusing, and ironic to me. Shiva says, can you please talk about the creation of Israel's state? Yes, so the creation of Israel was thousands of years ago. The creation of the modern day state of Israel happened when the British Mandate decided, okay, that's it. We're going to leave this hot potato over there. The British never actually made this place part of the empire. They ruled Transjordan, right, and the area of Israel, Palestine, whatever you want to call it. And so they gave the area of the east of the bank of the Jordan, right, what's known as modern-day Kingdom of Jordan, to the Hashemites. The Hashemites were not even indigenous to Jordan. They were from, if I'm not mistaken, Saudi Arabia. But they wanted to, the British wanted to mix things up. And so they brought the Hashemites from Saudi Arabia or somewhere thereof. And they said, you know what? We'll give you a kingdom here in Jordan. Here, have at it. And they did. And that's what happened there. And then when they left, the state of Israel was established in 1948. And immediately, 4 or 5 Arab armies from around us invaded and lost. They thought that they would be able to just sweep away the Jews with a broom, but we are a pain in the ass of many a folk, and we are not that easy to get rid of. People may call us vermin and rats and and rodents and roaches, but unfortunately, try though they might to exterminate us again and again and again, they fail again and again and again. By the grace of the Most High God and by the courage and the tenacity of the Hebrew people, the Israelis, we are here still. The establishment of the State of Israel is still currently disputed by certain folk and certain nations. However, Israel is part of the UN, that is United Nations. And the establishment of the State of Israel has a historic merit and justification. It has legal merit and justification. And it has religious or spiritual, which is the least concerning right now. Concerning mean it's the last one that I would bring up, right? There's a historical element and there's a judicial element. Hello, how you feeling? Yeah, she's upstairs. What? Yeah. That is how the State of Israel was established. Now, when Israel was established, all of the organizations that were partly or wholly terrorists against the Arab Muslims and the British, right? Usually retaliatory things, but also taking the initiative, right? Lechi, Etzel, Irgun, Hagana, what have you. They actually were made illegal, and that's what turned into the IDF. Okay, let's continue. I dare you to do a DNA to prove your link to the land, liar, says Setoga. I don't need a link to the land by DNA. I am a Hebrew man. The Hebrew tribes, this is their ancestral home. Now, I happen to believe, and you can call me a liar, I really don't give two shits what you think. But, yes, there is a thousands-year-old tradition for my family of being part of the tribes of Israel. If you want to criticize that, by all means do. This is a dialogue, right? This is a discussion. Feel free to critique it. Call me a liar. Call me a European, Kazakh, occupier, Ashkenazi, whatever the fuck you want. It really is no skin off my schnoz, It's all well and good because I know that you don't know what the hell you're talking about. So let's grant that proposition. Let's say that I'm a Nordic convert and I converted this morning, and for 43 years I lived in Scandinavia. Okay? And I converted this morning or yesterday, and I took a plane to Israel, and here I am in my new home in Jerusalem, broadcasting to you live. I'm still 100% a Hebrew man. And a man or woman who converts and clings to the Hebrew tribes, this is their home as well, because they are now part of the people of Israel. Now, if you're talking about right to the land based on indigenous merit, then okay, the Arabs belong to Arabia. What the fuck are they doing here? The Christians, likewise, they belong elsewhere. What are they doing here? They are here because people lived here for hundreds and thousands of years, Jews and Muslims and Christians, Arabs and non-Arabs alike. So you simply want the Jews to say, oh, that's right, we don't belong here, my mistake. Jews come from Judea. That's literally where I am right now. You see how you're kind of full of shit? So if I am now 100% a Jew because I converted, it may really burn your ass that somebody who converted today would have some sort of a merit and stake in a land that he or she did not grow up in. But that is what happens. That's what happens. And believe me, if that was the case, you would have to start from zero, okay? Again, does America go back to the Native Americans? Does Texas go back to the Mexicans? Does Australia go back to the Aborigines? Does Canada go back to the First Nations there? No. So if you're willing to accept all of those other conquests and all of those other, what did you call it? Where is it? It's not there anymore. But, okay, I'm sorry. The link. If you're going to prove the link, you can't prove jack shit. You really, really can't. Okay? And if you are going to say that just a link to the land is what gives you the right to be there, even if we were there for thousands of years, but we have no link to the land, so that means you'll have to do the same for everybody. Otherwise, you are a hypocrite. A real hypocrite. Okay. You are historic lobbyists, brother, nothing more nothing, spiritual bro, says Nicholas. No, I'd rather talk about matters of faith, spirituality, and religion over here. That's part of what this channel is about. But I go live in the chat, and it's very chaotic, and people come here all the time with all of their, oh, Jesus, oh, Palestine. So, if people want to talk about Jesus and Palestine, that's kind of what you're going to get. But occasionally I do a stream where it's, no Jesus and no Palestine. You weren't there for thousands of years. Really, Israel has no rights? We weren't? How shocking. Prove it. We can prove an unbroken chain of Jewish presence in the lands of Judea and Israel. That is a historical fact. So if you want to argue with history, by all means, if you want to criticize historical fact, obviously you have the right to do so. All that means is that you're a dumbass. Now, I have some sympathy as a fellow dumbass, okay? The difference is that I am not making these claims that are completely false, while you are. So both of us are dumbasses, but maybe you should think about what you say. Shiva says, thank you for being kind to animals. Respect from Canada. W Jews, L Islam extremists. May all beings be happy. Indeed, may all beings be happy. And I thank you, Shiva. All the money that you give, incidentally, goes to charity. In a few days, there's still a post up on the community tab on my channel on where to give April's earnings, over $550. So I'm going to let that sit there a few days so more people can voice their opinion. As always, I will be as transparent as I can about this. Jews didn't kicked out of 110 countries. That is true. We were not. We were kicked out of several countries, right? More famously, England and Portugal and Spain and other Arab Muslim nations after 1948. But that 109, 110 thing is propaganda that was later echoed by the Nazis with no basis in reality whatsoever. Not even close to 100 and something countries. What there have been is expulsions from cities, towns, counties, villages, whatever. That indeed has gone down, and some countries, but definitely not 110 countries. I think you are great, says Ethan. Thanks, man. I appreciate that. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam she'akol niyeh b'dvaro. Oh, yeah. Okay, let's continue. Islam or Christianity, which is closer to Judaism, says Nur Walid. So as far as the conceptualization, if you will, of Adonai, of God, it's more Islam. Insofar as its values that are currently, right, in modern day society practiced, it's Christianity. So it's a little of column A, a little of column B. Hess says, why do you think Jews have been expelled from so many places? Ask them. People will find all reasons to expel Jews, right? They're too rich or too poor. They don't integrate, and they integrate too much. they're at the top echelons of leadership, or they are the subversive element. They're too religious. They're not religious. It's like people will find ways to blame Jews for anything and everything. There have been many libels that are completely false and founded on absolute bullshit because people love to hate on the Jews. So you'll have to ask them. Don't ask me. Do you ever shampoo? Yes, I do shampoo once or twice a week. No, actually, it's closer to once or twice every couple of weeks, unless my hair is dirty. If it's dirty, I'll shampoo right then and there. If I feel my scalp is dirty, I also put on a hair mask and conditioner, but I don't do that every time. So, yeah. Why does the rabbi suck the blood from the circumcision, says Hook Slogan. The reason why the moil sucks the blood from the circumcision, it used to be said that it's something, well, first, there's a physical element, which some people say is medicinal, but that's kind of been disproven. And there's a second element, which is esoteric, and that has to do with what the foreskin represents and what the other skin that is parted represents and what the blood represents, and the blood of the covenant. So, that's why. There's a physical reason which has been, kind of debunked, if you will. I don't know if it was ever, it was never an inherent real part of the circumcision in the sense that the other two were. There are three facets to circumcision: milah, pri'ah, metzitza. Milah is cutting off the foreskin, pri'ah is spreading the skin underneath, and metzitza is sucking out the blood. Now, nowadays, it's done with a single-use straw-like apparatus that's hygienic and sterile and whatever, and it's used once and thrown. The moil sucks out some blood and spits out the blood. We are not allowed to consume blood according to the Torah, even though human blood, is it permissible? Yes, it is permissible, but we don't do that. Okay. What do you eat in Israel? Everything that you eat anywhere else, I would think. Only a lot of times it would probably be kosher, though many Israelis don't keep kosher. So, yeah. Everyone sees how the settlers behave. False, monkey writing. There are indeed settlers who are terrible and disgusting and violent, and I condemn them and their actions. It is abhorrent behavior. I don't think that's proper Zionism, and I don't think that's proper humanity. I don't think that's good human behavior. If you are attacking people who are just living alongside you, living their lives, right, not minding their own business, not provoking you, not attacking you, not trying to, then by all means, let it be. Why are you attacking them? Those settlers are few and far between, and the reason why they are always at the top of the headlines is because people love bad news and people love to blame Jews. The majority of settlers are peace-loving altogether, who enjoy relatively good relations with their Muslim Arab neighbors. But again, it depends on the situation. Is there an ongoing war? Is there an ongoing military operation? Are there terrorists blowing up buses, knifing people, running people over, bulldozing people? It's like, so it really does depend. But some settlers indeed behave abhorrently, and it's disgusting, it's reprehensible. Not everything that is done in the name of Zionism is something that I stick up for. I am a Zionist, a biblical Zionist, a modern-day Zionist, but I certainly do not excuse everything that someone does in the name of Zionism just because they say it's proper Zionism. That doesn't make it right at all. Really, it doesn't. Okay, let's continue. It's literally in the word settlers, says LTOK. Well, in English, it's called settlers. In Hebrew, it's mitnachlim, and nachala means inheritance. That's what that means. That's literally what that is. This is our ancestral home. It is our inheritance because we have never actually left. I mean, obviously, there have been expulsions, and people were killed, and persecutions, and pogroms, and holocausts here in the state of Israel, yes, right, throughout the generations, with all the crusades and everything. But there has always been, we have always maintained a Jewish presence in the Holy Land, however small, however tiny, however minute, and this remains our ancestral home. I know it sucks to hear it, people out there. It sucks to hear it, but this is our ancestral home. It doesn't mean that nobody else belongs here. By all means, people can stay here as long as they lay down their arms, accept our sovereignty here, and we live, side by side. And Israel has offered more than 10 different peace deals throughout the years to the Palestinian leadership, and they were all rejected because they don't want peace, and they don't want to live side by side, and they don't want to thrive, they don't want prosperity for their people. No, they want death, destruction, and Allah to rule, and everyone to gather under the banner of Islam. They're not shy about that either, by the way. It's literally something that they say they are supposed to do. There is Dar al-Harb and Dar al-Islam, meaning the places that are Muslim and the places that will be Muslim with the might of the sword of Islam. Now, are there moderate Muslims? Yes, but they are irrelevant because they are simply, from what I've gathered, it's not that there's extreme or radical Islam, there's just Islam and those who keep it and those who keep it all the way and those who don't keep it all the way. And the more religious ones, by definition, usually, more often than not, will say, yes, Islam needs to take over the world. Yes, it will be in holy war. Yes, it will be might makes right, and every knee shall bend. That's it. And are there moderate Muslims probably over here in the Middle East? Yes. Are they trying to do something actually for peace? No, they are not. There is no peace movement here. There is no peace movement towards Israel because it doesn't exist. It doesn't exist. Are there Arab Israelis who are doing it? Yes. Might there be individuals in Gaza, the West Bank, and other places? Yes, of course, because people want peace. These people are innocent who are stuck between a rock and a hard place, right? Between their terrorist leadership and the IDF. I do not envy them. I think it's a horrible situation that they brought on themselves. But where's the Palestinian peace movement? Where is the Gazan peace movement to make peace with Israel? Where is the West Bank movement that wants to make peace with Israel, that is actually recruiting, that is actually out there demonstrating against Hamas, demonstrating against the Palestinian Authority? Where? It's not there. And please, if I'm wrong, please, I'd love to know if I'm wrong. I would love to be wrong. Please, if you know of a peace movement that is actually out there marching in the streets against the leadership and wants peace with Israel, please send it my way. I would love to know. Leave a comment. A super chat came in. What is a Mizrahic Jew, says Dina? Mizrach means east. So a Mizrahi Jew would be the Jews who did not go to Europe during the exile, but those who were exiled to the east and to Asia. So those who were in Iraq, those who were in Iran, those who were in Libya, those who were in Yemen, those who were in Jordan and Syria and Egypt and Lebanon, those who are from the east. That is what a Mizrahi Jew is. At last count, and this is international and national count, the people doing the counting, Mizrahi Jews and Ashkenazi Jews, meaning east and west, if you will, are just over 50-50 towards the Mizrahi Jewish people. Some say it's even 65% Mizrahi, which means that everybody who are saying that the Jews are all colonial European settlers, they are full of shit. Because most of the Jews in the world, it's only about 14-15 million of us from the remnants of the kingdom of Judah. And when we were exiled, the majority, right, nowadays, the majority is those who were exiled to the east. And with the minority, slight minority, being those who were exiled to the west. The thing is that whether it's a Mizrahi Jew or an Ashkenazi Jew, it's Jew. Jews come from Judea. We are all Eastern. We are all Middle Eastern. People just cannot fathom this. People cannot come to grips with the reality that Jews come from Judea. And Judea is right here. I'm looking at it outside my window. That is what a Mizrahi Jew is, a Jew who was exiled to the east. But we are all Jews, right? We are all Hebrews from the Hebrew land. Answer me truthfully, Muhammad say, if USA didn't help you, would you exist until this day? I think so. I might be wrong, but I think so, because I think it's not only human help that we are getting, and I thank God for our allies and partners and people who are that we have peace agreements with, right? And people like the U.S. What a wonderful country to be in and have an allyship with. But I do believe that there is something to Israel that would stand even without the United States of America. That's what I'm thinking. I might be wrong. Time will tell. Religious people are evil, says Joshua. I'm inclined to agree that there is a capacity for evil that exists throughout humanity. What makes the religious evil that much more pernicious is that these people who are doing evil things are doing it in the name of that which they say is good, and they are completely 100% sure, and I'm making a broad generalization, that they are doing something right by doing something wrong. And I'm not the one to say, I'm not the arbiter of good and evil, right? But I will say that religious people definitely have the capacity for evil, and all the while claim that they are good and have no qualms about continuing because they believe they are on the right side, they are on the righteous side, they are on the holy side, they are doing God's work, they are doing God's will, And what was it, Hitchens, right? It takes religion for a good man to do a bad thing. It takes religion. Okay. Does Israel have alcoholics, or does everyone drink responsibly? Says Steve. Steve or Stever? I mean, obviously there are alcoholics everywhere. I don't know the percentage of alcoholics in the state of Israel. Not really. Israel says, not true, Bani Israel, where 12 tribes? Well, 10 of them were exiled by the king of Assyria. 2 of them were exiled by the king of Babylon, and later Rome, right? The 3 tribes are Jewish. That is correct. The tribe of Levi, parts of Levi, Judah, and Benjamin. That makes up the kingdom of Judah, and Jews are the remnants of the kingdom of Judah. That is correct. 9 tribes, probably Muslims, Christians, and more. I'm inclined to agree. There are those who have kept their Hebrew faith, and they claim affiliation to different tribes. But yes, it makes absolute sense that the majority of the 10 lost tribes, as they are known, who were exiled about 2,500 years ago. 25? Yes, 2,500 years ago by the king of Assyria. Yes, it makes sense that they are Muslims, Christians, and others. That absolutely makes sense. As for the tribes of Judah, Benjamin, and Levi not being true Bnei Israel, that is incorrect. I don't know if you're talking to me, but the people who are here, the remnants of the kingdom of Judah, are definitely part of Bnei Israel. Once again, you can criticize that. By all means, push back against it. Fact check me if you think I'm wrong. Tell me how I'm wrong. Bring actual sources and data. What I'm saying is proven history. Help me understand the Khazar, says David. So Khazar was a kingdom, was it East Europe? I think it was East Europe. There was a kingdom who, the entirety of the kingdom converted a few hundred years ago, 400 or 500 years ago, I don't recall precisely, so you'll have to let me know. And people say that the entirety of the Jews are European converts and Khazarians. Now, even though the Khazar theory has been debunked thoroughly, unequivocally debunked time and time and time again, over the course of history, it has become so embedded in these propagandists and in these haters and these trolls and these, just basically people who don't know what they're talking about, that they bring it up as if it's some sort of a gotcha, when if you ask anybody who is actually a credible researcher and historian, they will tell you that the Khazar theory has been thoroughly and wholly debunked. That is Khazar, or Khazaria, or Kuzar in Hebrew. Let's continue. Hello, bro. Love you from Argentina. Thanks, Elias. I appreciate that. I am a mutt, says Frederick, and several branches of my family definitely kicked each other out of places. That sucks. To some degree, you could say that all of humanity is now mutts. There are those nations who have managed to stay more, in their own, the Jews being one of them to some degree anyway. Pierce Ears says, hey, good to see you again, Pierce. Regarding the Jewish belief, or your understanding, where was the Garden of Eden? So there was a physical garden, there was a metaphysical garden, and there was a spiritual garden, depending on how you want to view it. The thing is that with the Garden of Eden, only after the expulsion, or when the expulsion was imminent, were we given a body, like a physical human body that we know now, right? In the same way that we know now, with sinew and blood and bones and guts. And so the first part, let's say, of the story of creation happened spiritually, and it's not something that we can actually fathom and conceptualize in its entirety. The Torah uses, the Torah itself, the Torah that I know, the 5 books of Moses that I'm looking at right now over there in that book. The Torah that we know now is a Torah that is in earthly clothing, in material clothing, in the same way that I am clothed in a shirt and pants, right? But you wouldn't say this is me. In the very same way that even if I took off all my clothes, you would say, yes, here is my body. This is my skin. This is my sinew. These are my bones. These are my muscles. This is my schnoz, right? Is it me? No, it's my body. It's a meat suit. I work through it in the world, right? And I comport myself in the world with it. Is it really my essence? No, because once the life force is taken out of the body decays and dies. Meaning that there is something else to it, a different element. You can call it a soul, a spirit, a life force, energy, whatever. You can say it's divine or you can say it's evolution. The point is that the consciousness that we know of and the life spirit that we are all imbued with, right, and that enlivens us. So I am not my clothing. I am not my body. In the very same way, the Torah is in clothing. The Torah is in a physical body, right? Which is on the scroll, written by a human being, Hebrew letters. So Eden and the Garden of Eden, they were a spiritual or metaphysical place. And some say that it was a physical place because certain rivers are mentioned in the story of creation that do exist here in this world, which is why my original answer was there's a physical element, a metaphysical element, and a spiritual element. Is there any information you could share about the original landmark of humanity? No, I can't, because it's something that I consider to be, I mean, look, you could say it's Mesopotamia, or you could say it's Africa, or you could say it's Israel, that cradle of civilization. There are different historians and academics and researchers who have their hypotheses on where we actually truly originated from as a human species. And I'm of the opinion, by the way, that Adam and Eve were not created from scratch. I believe in evolution. I'm of the opinion that it was Adam and Eve who received that breath of life, that divine soul, if you will, that other humanoids before that did not. That is what made us in the image of God. That is what made us different from all the others who came before us and all the other hominids and humanoids that came before us. As for the original landmark, I don't know. Nobody knows. There's no information that I could share other than look at the 4 rivers, right, that are mentioned, right, which is Gihon, Pishon, Prat, and Chidekel. Chidekel? What's the 4th one? Gihon, Pishon, Prat. Is it Chidekel? I'm not sure. Either way, they exist here in this world. And so the Torah is speaking sort of metaphorically about rivers. And this all has an esoteric meaning as well. Like I said, the Torah is given to us here in this world in the clothing of this world. Just like I have a human body and I wear clothes over it, and that's how I move around in the world. If I take off my clothing, if I would remove my body, there would still be that essence of me that I can't really describe, that I can't really conceptualize. In the very same way, the Torah has that body and that soul and a soul of a soul and that essence that is not its body, it's not its letters. It's a whole that is greater than the sum of its parts. And so when you look at the Torah, you can look at it only literally. Some people do. According to the Hebrew faith, you ought not, or you could not, look at it literally, because the Zohar famously says that those who think that these are just stories, and those who think that these are just fairy tales, and those who think that it's the body which is the important thing, and they completely miss the idea of getting into the guts, right, and into the soul of the Torah. So those who look at the externalities of the Torah, the 5 books of Moses as we know them, and who think that that's all that there is, and it's just a bunch of allegorical, metaphorical, archetypal stories, they're kind of missing the mark, says the Zohar. They are they get a little bit too spicy, and they say that people who think that should die, should expire, but I'm not going to say that, because obviously I know why people do only take it as such literally, and I'm not gatekeeping. What I'm saying is that there are those who say that if you only look at the external clothing of the Torah, you miss the mark. Just like if you only looked at the external parts of me, if you only looked at the beard, if you only looked at the shirt, if you only looked at the hair or the ears that I put on, do these have some sort of do these have the capacity of telling you something about me? Yes. The beard and the hair and the shirt and the ears, of course, it can tell you something about me. Can it tell you truly who I am? No. In the very same way that it can't tell you how fast my heart is beating, or what food is churning in my guts, or what my liver is doing right now, or what my kidneys are doing right now, or what is going on right now inside, and what I'm thinking literally right now, the number I'm thinking of right now. You cannot discern any of it. It's all external. And in the very same way, if you want to get into the deep, intimate knowledge of the Torah, you need to get past the body, past the skin, past the flesh, past the bones, past the sinew, into the soul and the soul of the soul, as they say, of the Torah. In the very same way, Eden is like that as well, where you have that external place that could have been an actual geographical location here on planet Earth. But it's not really what it's about. It's more of a metaphysical and spiritual element and idea that is being conveyed through material, physical, earthly words. Okay, let's continue. Have you ever met a Sumerian, a Shomroni? Have I? Maybe. I'm pretty sure I have, though not recently, that's for sure. Definitely, I can't know for sure. Let's go with the poll. 277 votes in. Is it actually possible and technically possible to boycott Israel nowadays? 60% say yes, 40% say no. I'm very curious how you think that could be done. Those of you who say that it's possible to boycott Israel, like fully, okay, fully. And let's not forget, this poll and everything coming from it is based on what Dominic Ammo said, which is, I've decided not to buy any products made in Israel or owned by Israelis for the rest of my life. Let's continue with some of the comments to that post. With some things like the Eurovision and maybe crop exports, yes, and many other things, no, said Sriracha Chug Challenge. Gan Eden said, good thing he didn't say anything created by Israelis because he would have to avoid most medical advancements and medicines in the modern era. Except, of course, a lot of medicine is made in Israel, he said. Good luck, bud. And there's a back and forth in the comments here on whether or not that's true. People, what do you say? Is a lot of the medicine made in Israel or has ties to Israel? I'm curious. I tried to boycott Palestine once, says Starhopper, but terrorism wasn't on my shopping list and I couldn't find anything else they produce. Ha! It's a problem. It really is a problem because Islam had its golden age and the Arab culture had its golden age. May it make a comeback. May Islam's golden age make a comeback. May the Arabian golden age make a comeback. These are people like you, like me. And they should be able to do a lot. They really, really should. Unfortunately, from what I've told, the fundamentalist, radical, extreme Muslims, or some say just Islam, has taken over to such a degree that all they busy themselves with, and I'm again making a very broad generalization, is not advancement, and it's not innovation, and it's not making the world a better place. It's just, right, not all of them are terrorists, of course, but it's like a lot, there are, from what I've gathered, again, a lot of failed Arab Muslim countries who are not able to get themselves, right, to bootstrap themselves up, right, to pull themselves up. They are not able to do it because of their leadership, which is, from what I've gathered, not interested in it. Really, really not interested in it. And Pat Condell very famously said that some of these countries are only rich because the richness is literally in the ground, and without it, they would have nothing. I don't know if that's true or not. I know that there has been a golden age of Islam and the Arabian culture, and may it make a comeback. Fuck the entire earth, says AJ Trone. Tronio. No, I don't think so. I think that if you want to fuck the entire earth, I don't know if you could do that. There are billions of people. You're going to go and engage in sexual intercourse with all these billions of people, some of whom are children. I don't know if you could fuck the entire earth. What do you think, people? Could you make that happen? Also, people are constantly being born. People are constantly dying. Where do you draw the line? And from, it's just difficult. It's difficult. Do the math. It's difficult. How is everyone, says Luke Miller. Hey, Luke Miller, good to see you again. Schmuck, says Rembo Tembo. Thanks, man. I am a schmuck. I am a schmeckily schmuck. Okay. Nicholas says, you idiot. Yes, I am an idiot. Starhopper says, love Pat. Yeah, I really like the way that he speaks. I didn't read his book. He had a book, Godless and Free, or maybe I'm mistaking it for some other author. I think that was him. He was also doing stand-up for a while. I don't know what he's doing nowadays. I used to be able to, subscribe to his channel years ago, his YouTube channel. Let's continue. Are you homeless, says Yaakov Pecker. Hey, welcome aboard, Pecker. No, I am not homeless. I've always had a lovely home to come home to by the grace of the Most High God and not by my own merit. I've always had a lovely place to call home. And, there were times where I only saw my home every now and then, like during yeshiva or during the army. But yes, I've always had, whether it was my parents' house or the house that I've built here in Jerusalem with my woman, always I have had a lovely place to call home. Thank God for that. I know that there are many people who do not have a home. There are many people who are down on their luck. Many people whose life just suddenly turned to shit through no fault of their own. So many people who are living paycheck to paycheck. So many people who are about to be kicked out and booted out into the street because of obtuse, bureaucrats and would-be leaders, statesmen, congressmen, people who don't give two shits about their population. And it's a horrible thing. Really is. But no. I did not mean sexual congress. Oh, you didn't? Well, you could have fooled me. So what? So you hate Earth? You really do hate Earth? Do you really? Do you own a mirror? Uncanny Mountain says. Well, I'm looking at myself right now on this screen, and I have myself on that screen where I'm fielding the questions or addressing them. So if you want to call this a mirror, it's not a proper mirror, but it's it's pretty HD. So yes, I do. Why do you ask? Do you need one? Pardon me. Gematria is coded in every headline, says Ike25 Young. I mean, Gematria, again, to me, Gematria is just either the aperitif or the dessert, but it's not the main course, just like our sages say. Let's continue. Nicholas says, Mossad supported Hamas because they destabilized the state of Palestine through Hamas, but they lost control over time. Again, there was this idea of pitting the terrorist organizations against each other, I'm assuming. Divide and conquer is a well-known strategy, and that was, that failed. And they also thought that by giving money to Hamas, they would be able to raise the quality of life of the people whom Hamas is governing and looking out for, or they did at the time. And that did not happen because Hamas stole that money and invested it in terrorism and not in actually raising up the quality of life of their population. So the government of Israel was under a grave misconception. The different Israeli agencies that went along with this misconception, they were just told what to do, I suppose. And I don't know if there was. I'm not in the intelligence agency. I don't know anything about what Mossad is doing. Also, Mossad is international. Shabak or Shin Bet is national, local. So if you're talking about Mossad, that means international, not now here. The old Yishuv are indigenous, says Yaakov Mishke. Yes, the old Yishuv were the people who were here for thousands of years while the rest were in exile. That is correct. Yaakov says, who's your Rav and Madrich? I have no Rav and Madrich. I don't consider myself Orthodox anymore. I grew up modern Orthodox in Jerusalem, but I no longer consider myself to be religious or Orthodox just because I don't want that label on me, and partly because I don't keep as strict halakha as I did in the past with certain things, and because I have no living master that I call rabbi. The rabbeim that I go for, let's say, are Rav Kook, Rabbi Nachman. They're dead. I don't, I follow in their footsteps, or I try to follow in their footsteps. As for madrich, I have no madrich. I have no guide. I try again to let Rav Kook and Rabbi Nachman be my guides, if you will, even though they are dead. Their teachings are in part what guide me. And the Torah, just regular, plain Torah. America first. Hey, good to see you again, man. There is no chosen people, only people who make choices. I agree. Your Hashem was nowhere to be found during WW2 while Jews were being mass deleted. Yes, that doesn't mean that there was no divine revelation here. Again, I don't know God. All I know is divine revelation. I don't know anything about God. I don't know the first thing about God. And yes, there are no chosen people. I believe that that's not a good way to think about it. Right? The Torah says that we were chosen for a specific thing, to keep the Torah and carry out its commandments and cling and cleave to the covenants of the Hebrews. That is what we are here to do. Other nations are there to do their thing, and and they have a task to fulfill, a mission to accomplish, a job to do, just like we do, and there's no one that's better than the other. That's why this whole chosen people thing, I take issue with it, because I think it can lead down a bad path of vanity and arrogance and pride, supremacy, and I'm not at all for that. Hey, Huheo is here. How you doing, man? You have a Woody Allen sense of humor. Keep it up, but not literally. Yes, look, Woody Allen, Mel Brooks, I love their humor. I really, really do. I'm a fan. I mean, Woody Allen, I haven't seen something of his in a while, but his earlier work from the 70s, I just love it. My parents, right? They raised me on Mel Brooks and on Woody Allen and the Marx Brothers and others and other Yids, other funny Jews. So yeah, definitely, I get that from my parents. I have a right to live here because I'm Jewish. I don't live Jewish. So why have you the right again after 3,000 years? I didn't say I don't live Jewish. I said I don't keep as strict halacha as I did in the past because of certain things that had to do with the organized religion facet of the Hebrew faith. I am definitely a Hebrew man trying to keep the Torah and the commandments and go by the Hebrew covenant. So, I have a right to live here because I'm Jewish. Yes, I never said I don't live Jewish. Also, and here we do come to something about hereditary, I don't know, whatever. If you are born into the faith, you are a Jew. You might not like it, but if you are born into the faith to a Jewish mother, halachically speaking, you are a Jew. That's what it is. According to rabbinic law, you are a Jew. It's not, it's like, it's not a tattoo that you can remove, or it's not a fake tattoo that you can rub off. As for why have the right again after 3,000 years, it's not after. It's not after 3,000 years. We have been here for thousands of years. There was a presence here for 3,000 years. Again, many people who hate Jews and hate Zionists and hate Israelis, they seem to forget about this thing called actual history. Who the hell cares about history? There was always a Jewish presence here. We are making our way back to our ancestral home. It is proven archaeologically, historically, by people who were outside of the Hebrew faith who said things, that this is our ancestral home. Are the borders well defined? No. Are they 100% known? No. That's a dispute. That's a controversy. That's a difference of opinion regarding the borders of this modern day Israel and of greater Israel, if you will. So, yeah. You wrote the history, says Ike 25 Young. Really? The Jews who've been persecuted wrote the history? The Jews who have been annihilated nearly time and time again, that we are the ones who wrote the history? Really? Are you kidding me? Where do you get this shit? Do you even know what you're saying? There are people who are not Jewish, people who are actually trying to debunk all kinds of Jewish things, and they can't, because this is proven history. Look at the Titus Gate in Rome. What do you see? You see a Roman soldier carrying the seven-candled menorah, the candelabra. Where did it come from, pray tell? From the second temple that Rome destroyed. So, come on. That's really embarrassing. Really. You wrote the history, yes. 14 million people who've been persecuted, who've been fought against, who've been kicked out of so many places here and there. Yes, we wrote the history, of course. And everybody just took it and said, yeah, we'll believe it. Some people, huh? Okay. Nachtingale is here. Hey, how you doing? Whosoever hates Jewish people is against the Holy One. So it says. It says, right, I will bless those who bless you and curse those who curse you. Many people forget that as well, people who say that they cling to the Bible. They lied about being enslaved by the Egyptians when there's no proof. I agree, there's a very good chance that Israel was not in bondage in Egypt, and that when they broke away from the local Canaanite tribes and wanted to worship the one Hebrew God, they came up with the story of being delivered from a tyrant and from bondage and from slavery and going towards the mountain of God, receiving the Torah, that whole thing. There's no proof of Israel, the nation, the tribes, the families. They were not a nation yet. There is no proof of the children of Israel being slaves in Egypt. That does not exist as far as I know. Not yet. Maybe it will in the future. As far as I know, there's no hard data, no like hardcore archaeological evidence and proof that at any time the Israelites, as we know them today, were enslaved and in bondage in Egypt. Okay, so let's say that it's just a story. What does it matter right now? Why does it matter to you if that was false or it was true? You learn something from it. There's wisdom to be gleaned from that story. The idea that what it means to be free, what it means to be enslaved, what it means to be free from slavery. Many people forget this verse as well, right? Many people remember, let my people go, what Moses told Pharaoh. They don't usually say the second half of that verse. Let my people go, that they may worship me in the desert. Shalach et ami v'ya'avduni bamidbar. People forget about that extra part of the verse, that second half of the verse. We were not released from bondage or slavery, physical or metaphorical, just to be free and do whatever we want. No. We were there to take on the yoke of Torah and commandments and the Hebrew faith. We were there to take on the burden of the covenant of the Hebrews. Let my people go that they may worship me in the desert. And that's the wilderness. That's even before we're talking about the land of Canaan and the conquering of the land of Canaan and the genociding of the 7 nations. Way before that. Way before the Torah was given. Let my people go that they may worship me in the desert. There is a point to this. There's an aim to this. So if you want to say Jews were never enslaved in Egypt, or Israelis or Israelites or Hebrews were never enslaved in Egypt, and so it shows that everything is false, go, by all means, go with that. Say what you will. I have no problem thinking that it's false. I have no problem believing that there's no historical, archaeological evidence that Israelites were enslaved in Egypt. I have zero problems with that. I look at the story that I have here in front of me, and I ask, now what? What is it that I do with these stories? What is it that I do with this wisdom that is waiting there in between all of the falsities? Okay, there is no Moses. Exactly, there is no proof that Moses ever existed. I'm fine with that. I don't mind that. As far as I'm concerned, it's okay. Because Moses is the name that we gave to somebody who we do believe is the father of prophets, who lived and breathed and walked and talked like you and I, and who died like you and I. But let's say that he wasn't, and let's say it's all allegory. Let's say it's all archetypal, metaphorical, that he is symbolizing the great bridge between worlds, the one who can ascend to the mountain, the lawgiver, the one who speaks face to face with the divine revelation, unlike all the other prophets. Even if you say he never existed, that type of Ubermensch still exists. That ideal, that idea that is personified in what we call Moses. And he was a murderer. He killed a guy in Egypt. And he fought many wars, right? He was a warrior and a murderer. This is the person, this is the lawgiver, right? Raised in the Egyptian palace. Okay. Moshe existed, only Jesus the devil didn't exist, says Nacht. Really? So you think that Jesus didn't exist? I'm curious. Also, why do you compare him or say that he's the devil? I don't think it ever says that. Rembo Tembo says, schmuck talking. Yes, I am. You don't like it? Scroll away, swipe away, give a dislike, do whatever you want. It's a free, relatively free platform within the guidelines of YouTube's, within the guidelines of YouTube. Uncanny Mountain, it's Australia for skin cancer, says Luke Miller. Australia for skin cancer? What are you two talking about in the chat? The idea of an Ubermensch is fully Israeli, your gov believes your people are above the rest of the world. No, that's not true in the least. I don't think that's true at all. But what do you mean, I'm a representative of the government? Are you a fool? How am I a representative of the government? I haven't voted in 20 years. Trust me, I am far removed from politics and the government. Really. So I represent myself, and I do a poor-ass job at that too. So, no, don't talk to me about me, the government. Talk about me, that is me. And I don't think I'm better than anyone else. I don't think I'm higher or holier than anyone else. I don't think I'm more knowledgeable or important or more respectful than anyone else. Far from it. I am the lowest of the low. I'm one simple dumbass in the Middle East with a phone and a cup of coffee. And I think we are all earthlings, all humans made in the image of God, with no nation, one nation being better than the other, no one group being better than the other. Are there hierarchies and values by which you can rank and discern and make that idea of this culture is better than this and this faith is better than that? Yes, you could. But as a general rule, humans are humans, and I treat them as such. It doesn't matter to me if they're Jewish or not. It doesn't matter to me which tribe they come from. It doesn't matter to me where they come from in the world, how much the content of melanin is apparent in their skin. Makes no difference to me. It can lead you down a dark path of supremacy and hate, bigotry, racism, and I'm not for any of that. And pride and arrogance, and who needs that in their life? Really, who needs that in their life? No one believes you, says Victor. Okay, I'm not asking you to believe me. Don't believe me. We're just having a conversation. It doesn't matter to me whether you believe me or not. I'm not looking to change your mind. I'm not looking to alter your views. I'm not looking to switch around your opinions or cause you to doubt this, that, or the other. Not in the least. We're just having a dialogue here. That's all that this is. I'm not here teaching and preaching. I'm not here waving at you and saying, blah, listen to me, believe me. No, the things I say are backed up by historical fact, and if they are not backed up by historical fact, then I say it's my opinion, it's my view, I think, maybe. So I don't care if anyone believes me or not. It's not about believing me. I'm not asking you to believe me. I'm asking, hey, do you want to have a conversation about some shit? That's all that this is. Why is it okay to criticize Christians or Muslims, but criticizing Jews gets people canceled? Are you kidding, Hook Slogan? People have tried to criticize Islam and they've gotten canceled. I have no idea what's going on with Christianity. I'm assuming it's in Christian places that this idea of being canceled is even a thing. As for Jews, as far as I'm concerned, criticize whoever you want. But if you're going to criticize, actually bring up proper data, proper sources, have a proper aim or goal or reason, and not just Jews bad, because that's not an argument at all. If you're going to critique the Jews, by all means do. I criticize the government. I criticize the army. I criticize the establishment and the state of Israel when I think that it merits being criticized, and it does. Israel is far from perfect. Obviously, it makes mistakes. Obviously, there are people there who are immoral and unethical. Some of them might actually be engaging in crimes, and they should be brought to justice if they are. Crafty says, according to Kabbalah, only Jews have divine souls that can connect to God. That is false. According to some Hasidic sects who follow Lurianic Kabbalah, that is the case. Kabbalah at large, as a system, does not differentiate, to the best of my knowledge, between a Jewish soul and a divine soul. But you know what? Since I'm a human soul and a Jewish soul. But let's do this. Let's take your comment as is and put it in the AI in Google. They do not teach that non-Jews are incapable of connecting with God. That's what I thought. No. Are there some Hasids and Hasidic sects and Kabbalists who think that there is the Jew, and then the nations, and then the animals? Yes. Are there people who think that the Jewish soul is the only one who can connect with God? Yes. Is that what Torah, written, oral, or Kabbalah is about? No. That is false, and I would hate for you to go through the rest of your life, Mr. Crafty Zan or Xan, thinking that what you're saying is true. According to Kabbalah, there is the divine soul. That's it. It's for human beings. And animals have the animal soul, and that's all well and good. And we have both, right? We are part of a world of knowledge of good and evil. We have a divine soul and an animal soul. So there are those who say that only Jews can connect to God through that soul that they have. I don't buy that for a second. I don't think that's true, not even a little bit. So if you're going to come at me about what other people think, don't come at me. Go to them. If you're going to come at me, I don't think that. I think we are all earthlings, all humans made in the image of God, and as such, we all have the capacity for connecting with the divine attributes and emanations with which we were created and that we mirror. And Kabbalah says this exact thing that I said now, and it does not say that there's a Jewish soul that is higher and that only they have divine souls and only they can connect with God. I don't know who told you that. I don't know if you're a Kabbalist or not, because some Kabbalists do think that, but that's false. Like I said, Christianity is worshiping the devil as God, says Nacht. Okay, where do you see that in Christianity? How do they actually worship the devil? I'm curious. Hey, read the Talmud, says Tribe of God, Hebrew Israelites. They read the Talmud. So Talmud is just a book of oral law that was written down, and that is where rabbinic law is derived from in part. That's all that is. Other than the debates, the conversations, and the arguments there about what halacha ought to be, there's also myth and lore and legend and different things going on there that are not made into rabbinic law. There is a physical element to the Talmud, and there's an esoteric element to the Talmud. Much like the written Torah that has clothing, the Talmud, as oral Torah, also has clothing. So you need to get beneath the clothes. You need to strip the Torah naked. You need to get into the kishka, into the guts, into the soul of the Torah. But to simply look at the externalities and say that's all that there is, and that is the be-all, end-all of what the oral and written Torah are, that is making a grave error and missing the point. Not entirely, because there is merit to the externalities of the Torah. It is indeed part of it, in the same way that there are times when the clothes make the man. 1234233. What do you think of Shabbatian Frankism? I think they had good intentions, and they went about it completely the wrong way. And I think that there's a reason why it failed. They wanted to bring Messiah, which is a benevolent thing. They wanted to usher in that end of days, and they wanted to sort of force the hand of the divine revelation by committing as many transgressions as possible in order to sort of make the Son of David show up. And I get that, I really, really do, but it failed. It failed because that's not the way to go. We're supposed to choose life, not choose death. So the Shabbatians and the Frankists were one generation after the other, if I'm not mistaken. I don't know if they coincided. After Shabbatianism, after Shabtai Tzvi was a thing, only then did Yaakov Frank and his daughter, right? She wrote the book. She collected his writings. I don't recall. It's been a while since I've studied the lore of the Shabbatians and the Frankists. But what do I think of them? I think they had the right idea, but went about it in a terrible way. Really terrible. Because of what I said. Talmud arguments are cool, says Anita. Yes, I agree. There are some really, really great arguments and debates and conversations in the Talmud. And whether or not they pertain to real life, that's, again, simply appealing to the external part and completely leaving out the metaphysical, spiritual, and esoteric elements of the Talmud. So you could say, why are they arguing over such batshit crazy things that would never, ever come to pass, even a little bit? It's like, no, because there's the physical clothing in which the Talmud is clothed. And then when you strip it of its clothing, you get to see what the Talmud really is underneath, the more esoteric and metaphysical elements, and those pertain to the way that you live in the world. And that is also why certain bits of lore and of legend and of folklore or myth and the opinion of the minority were brought in, even if it did not actually become de facto rabbinic law, actual halacha. R says, I've not heard that take of them having the right idea. Interesting. I'm not sure what you mean, but okay. What happens if your Messiah rejects you, says Uncanny Mountain? Well, Messiah means anointed one, and that means a king, right? A king of Israel. When they speak of Messiah, they speak of the king Messiah. A king rejecting someone? What does that mean? What do you mean by the king rejecting someone? I don't know what that means. You'll have to be more precise. Explain it to me like I'm 5. Let's see. All right. Gotta get some sleep, says Gas Station. I appreciate your humanity and humor and fashion sense. Thanks, man. I appreciate you as well, Gas Station. Boner pills. I've never taken Gas Station boner pills. I've heard that they're iffy. By clothing, do you mean the scroll cover? No, I mean the actual clothing, yes, right? The beged, but no. I mean the klaf, right? The parchment. I mean the letters, ink, right? I mean the external parts of the Torah and the Hebrew letters. You could see it as only external and just stories, right? And the Zohar says, woe to them who think that the Torah is just a collection of stories. They're missing the point entirely. And may they expire, says the Zohar. Really, really harsh language, because they are in fact saying that the Torah in its entirety is this external story, which makes absolutely no sense. You can't prove if it happened, and it doesn't really do this or that or the other. And people who are saying that that is the entirety of the Torah, no more, no less, that's all that it is, are completely missing the mark. Okay. Make peace words reinforce dynamics of war, says Sarania. Hi, good to see you again. I have no idea what that means. I really don't. But okay. Uncanny says, what if he rejects you? That means you're not the Jews. What do you mean? It will be the Hebrew people who crown a king of Israel. It will be the people in Israel who crown a king of Israel, likely. And the people of Israel, not necessarily the state, but the children of Israel, will crown the king. Or a prophet from the children of Israel. Once the spirit of prophecy makes its comeback, that's what's going to happen. Came for the conversation, stay for the cool esoterica, says Frederick. Thanks, man. I appreciate it. And again, I'm not an esoteric man. I'm not a Kabbalist. I'm a student of the Tree of Life. Have been for many years, but I do not consider myself an esoteric individual, though it does inform me to a great degree. Blah Blah says there's a lot of problems in the world, but that's just the outcome of overpopulation and human nature. I don't think so. I mean, maybe some things can be attributed to overpopulation, but there are people who said, 50 50, 60s, 80 years ago that with overpopulation, the world is in abundance. You can argue over who gets what, capitalism, communism, socialism, and how things are distributed, people holding a lot of the money and the wealth and all that. And those are things that are kind of above my pay grade because I've never studied them academically properly. The different systems, the way they interact. But I do know that there is abundance and there is enough for everyone. Not everyone has enough, but there is enough for everyone. Do you see what I'm saying? And so those who said that overpopulation will be the demise of humanity were wrong. And the doomsayers and the anti-natalists, they are really going to reap what they are sowing, and they are really going to lay in the bed that they have made with birth rates plummeting everywhere. What will happen is that those who are having babies will be those who will, let's say, inherit these places a few generations from now. And so the ones who are now not having kids and they would want to see their way of life continuing, they're shit out of luck because they will be outnumbered and their way of life might disappear. Okay, let's continue. Uncanny says, like how you sponge off everyone else's taxes like a parasite. I don't know what you're talking about. Are you aware, if you're talking about the U.S., are you aware that the U.S. gives aid to, tons of countries? Let's see. At last count, how many countries does the U.S. give aid to? At last count, the U.S. gives aid to over 170 countries and territories. Over 170. Israel gives like 70 or 80% of it right back into the American industry. Not a lot of countries do that. So, if you're going to come at Israel for sponging people's taxes or whatever, I'm assuming you were talking about something like that. If not, then I'm mistaken, and please forgive me. But by all means, go to these over 170 countries and territories and go to them and say, oh, how can you be accepting aid from the United States? America first. And yes, America should be first. But America is giving aid and money to over 170 countries and territories. Why do we not hear this being broadcasted? Because it's not the Jews. No Jews, no news. It's Israel. Oh, let's get up in arms and let's boycott and let's boo. Just like nobody gives a rat's ass about all the other actual genocides that are happening, all the other conflicts and skirmishes and wars and battles that are ongoing. Hundreds of thousands of people all over the world, people don't give a shit. But when it comes to the Jews, and certainly when it comes to Israel, oh my God, we gotta do something about this. Oh, how can we let this happen? Oh, those Jews, oh. It's all hypocrisy of a most terrible and cynical sort, mind you. Terrible and cynical. So if you're gonna say that Israel is a parasite, no, we give a ton of it back, most of it back immediately to the United States. So is it really considered going to Israel if it stays in the US and it's just by the numbers, computers transferring it there and then back there? Chosen for what? Shower? Yeah, people can shower. I don't know if people were chosen to shower. It's an interesting way to look at it. Uncanny says, you're proving to the world why you always get wiped out. You clearly enjoy acting like a clown. First of all, yes, I enjoy acting like a clown. I enjoy acting like a fool. Because this is it's absurd. The internet is an absurd place. And I play the part. I'm a clown. I'm a fool. It's an absurd place, the internet, and I'm happy to play this part of the fool and the clown, because people need to laugh a little bit. This world is full of malevolence and tragedy and horror all the time. Why not laugh? Why not have moments in your life when you can be a clown? Why not have moments in your life when you can make yourself a fool? Why? Why not? It's entertainment. It's partly entertainment, right? Those who are not here for the conversation and the esoterica, as my man said, as Frederick said, are here for the sheer, stupid, absurd entertainment. Yours and mine. That's what this is. This is the interwebs. Okay? I'm not a researcher or an academic or a teacher or a preacher or a rabbi or a sage or a prophet or nothing. I'm just here to have conversations with people, and I happen to enjoy humor. And you could say that it's not your cup of tea, my sense of humor, and fair enough. Then by all means, it's okay. You can rise up against me and say your humor is awful and don't do it. And I'll say, you're not me, so you don't get a vote on that. As for always getting wiped out, no, people are always trying to wipe the Jews out, and they can't do it. Can't do it. Let's see. You are very entertaining, says Crafty. See, there you go. I'm here for the wisdom, says Noah. Well, I'll tell you, again, this is Hebrew lore from days of yore. This is not mine. Many times I'll be regurgitating different things that I actually stand behind, but nevertheless regurgitating them. In some things I'll have something to say about or put my own spin on it, but these are not things that I'm pulling out of my ass. These are things that exist in the Torah. These are things that exist in the Mishnah and the Talmud and the Midrash and the Zohar and so many other places. Or, in the books of history and the annals of humanity. You're nothing but bad faith and deflection. Really? A, how is it bad faith? B, what am I deflecting? I'm literally addressing all of the bullshit that people are spewing at me, and I'm taking them somewhat seriously and answering them, unless they come at me completely not seriously. I will actually have the debate. Or not debate, because I'm not a debater, but I'll have the back and forth, the discourse, the discussion, the conversation, the give and take. I'm willing to do that. I'd love to have that. It makes me less ignorant. It makes me a little less stupid. And that's also part of what I'm here for. You're the best, so happy listening to you, says Stephen. Hey, Stephen, thank you. Thank you. But what am I deflecting? Please tell me, what am I deflecting? Ariel is here. Hey, Ariel Marshall. Nobody's managed to wipe us out yet. Uncanny Mountain, no matter how regularly they never give up trying, like madmen that think they are special, always expecting a different result. Yes, it's true. It's not going to happen. Exiling Jews, says Rising Gael, is not trying to wipe them out. It's people getting sick of certain behavior. Okay, fair enough. People have exiled Jews, and many have actually did try to wipe us out. Or do you not know history? Uncanny says, nah, you're literally demanding to be above all laws like a Nazi. Really, you're comparing me to a National Socialist? Can you be more foolish with your comparison? What on earth could you possibly be basing that comparison on? Nothing. You have no leg to stand on, so you're going all ad hominem. Oh, you think you're above the law. What have I done, and what have I said that would make you say that? Nothing. You're full of shit, and I'll call you out on it. My man, or good woman, you are full of shit. And the fact that you need to resort to saying, oh, you're a Nazi, when I have exhibited nothing even close to being a National Socialist, I do not support the National Socialist tenets. Nothing I've said is a Nazi idea or ideology or action, which means that you're just saying it for the sake of blah, 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 these bombastic, dramatic ad hominems that only take away from your credibility and reveal your ignorance and lack of having a proper argument. Israel is going down the National Socialist route, says Hook Slogan. Where? Where is it going down the National Socialist route? Are there elements of socialism that are still here in the state of Israel? Yes. I give money for Social Security, national, right? I give money for health security and health insurance for everybody, right? And there were kibbutzim and communes in the beginning of the end still, but certainly in the beginning and the middle of the 20th century. So there were certain socialist elements upon which the state of Israel and the early modern day Zionists, right? That is what they were. They were secular socialist idealists. Yes. But to say that we are National Socialists in the sense that we are Nazis, like in the Nazi regime of World War II Germany, that's just you making a claim with nothing to stand behind, nothing to put behind it, nothing, literally nothing. Nationalism and socialism combined, superiority and isolationism. Really, we are isolating ourselves? Are you even listening or reading that which you are writing? You are so way off. If that were true, why do we have a peace agreement with Jordan? Why do we have a peace agreement with Morocco, Bahrain, and Egypt? Why is it that we offer peace agreements to those around us, like Lebanon, and actual, the Palestinian Authority and the Palestinian leadership in Gaza? Why is it that we are trying to get more people like the UAE and Saudi Arabia to the Abraham Accords? Why is it that we have such a close allyship with the United States of America, the world's leading superpower? This is demonstrably false. Really. What does Nasi mean in Hebrew? Nasi means either president or dignitary or prince, but not royalty, like an elder of the tribe sort of prince, like a higher up. What did Bar Kokhba call himself as Messiah? He did not call himself as Messiah. Rabbi Akiva ben Yosef, after the Second Temple fell, he said that Bar Koziva, his name was Shimon Bar Koziva, that changed to his name was Shimon Bar Kokhba. Later on, they changed it to Bar Koziva because he failed them, and this was a disappointment. The Bar Kokhba revolt was quelled very, very harshly and brutally by the Roman Empire, or the Roman, presence here. And Bar Kokhba did not call himself Messiah. It was Rabbi Akiva, who was one of his stewards, one of his squires, right, and carried his things, who said that he could be Messiah. But he, as far as I know, Shimon Bar Kokhba himself did not call himself Messiah. Let's see. Your government supported and funded Hamas to undermine. Sorry, Rising Guile, we already addressed this earlier in the chat. I'm not going to do it again. What does Führer mean? I think Führer means leader. I think that's what that means. He called himself Nasi, prince. Okay, so he was the leader of the resistance against the Romans. He was the leader of the pocket of the subversive element, one of the rebel elements against the Romans. There was a rebellion. There was a revolt against the Romans, and it failed. Bar Kokhba was the leader. He gathered around a military force. He gathered around people. So he didn't call himself Messiah because he wasn't anointed, as far as I know. If he called himself Nasi, maybe because he considered himself to be the leader of these armed forces of resistance against Rome. That's it. Same diff? No, it is not same diff. If you're saying that you are an anointed one, it means that you are either a king or a prophet or a priest that was literally anointed with oil as part of your divine mission, and that commands a certain status, it commands a certain place in the people. If you call yourself Nasi, it means that you are higher up. Nasi means elevated. So, no, I don't think so. I really don't think so. It's not the same difference at all. That's you trying to sort of wedge it in there, but no. Saying same diff is not an argument. Let's see. Starhopper says, to Israel has no rights, so tens of thousands of rockets from Hezbollah is no reason to attack them. In what universe is that so? Yes, exactly. Would you admit if you're wrong? Yes, I have admitted when I'm wrong about a couple of things in this live stream, when I was shown that I was wrong, and I said, oh yes, I'm wrong, and I pinned that person's comment, and I've referenced it in the next live stream, and I pinned it not only to the chat, but to a comment section later on, to the comment section after I'm done, that is. So yes, I will definitely admit, happily admit when I'm wrong. But I actually need to be wrong, and you need to show me how I'm wrong, and you need to show me what is right. Or at the very least, how I'm wrong. But yes, I definitely would admit if I'm wrong, and I have done so once or twice in the past. Because I've been proven wrong. And people fact check me. And they showed me, look, what about this, and what about that, and what about that? And I said, oh, you're right, I misspoke, you're right, I'm wrong. I did it, I have no problem doing it. It just makes me better. It just makes me smarter and more knowledgeable. And that way I don't make the same mistake. What is Lashon Hara? Lashon Hara means evil tongue. Evil tongue can be, depends on who you ask, can be gossiping. It can be cursing someone out. It can be taking an oath that is false. That is Lashon Hara, meaning evil tongue, evil speech. Depending on how you go into it and how deep you go into it, there's Lashon Hara, there's Avak Lashon Hara, the dust of the evil speech. And, there are different halachas and rabbinic laws that pertain to these things. You always deflect, that's your thing. That's why people have no choice but to expel you. Okay, so now when you've realized that I am actually saying what I'm saying and that it's true, now you're saying, oh, no, it's not you, it's your people. You see, you've got nothing. Uncanny mountain. you have absolutely nothing. And when you realize that you can't come actually at me, because I'm actually conversing and having a dialogue in good faith, then you go, oh no, it's the people. That's why you get kicked out of places. You see, you attack me with ad hominems and you fail. And then when you see that you've failed, you move the goalposts. Quite a tactic you have there. Wow, call me impressed. I must away, keep them on their toes, my friend. Thanks, Frederick, I appreciate that. So like when you call Palestinians terrorists, fuck you, I did not. I said the Palestinian leadership are terrorists. Stop putting words in my mouth. You want to talk about bad faith? That's bad faith. You want to talk about deflection? That's deflection. I didn't say that. Palestinians are good, innocent people who just want to live out their lives and work for a living, take care of their families, and prosper. The Palestinian terrorist regimes and leadership, they are terrorists. And when you put words in my mouth and say that I said them, that is you, once again, A, revealing your ignorance and lack of comprehension, B, acting in a way that it just makes me say, it's not even worth really conversing with you anymore, so I might just stop, because you keep moving the goalposts, and then when I say, what do you mean, and you give me this, which I did not say. So, you're full of shit. That's it. At least, can you admit that? You asked me if I can admit that I'm wrong. Can you admit that you are full of shit and that I said no such thing? People in the chat, did I say that Palestinians are terrorists? Or did I say that the Palestinian leadership are terrorists? I differentiate, unlike some people. I differentiate between the people and the regime, between the people and the leaders, between the people and the government. I know that burns the ass of many people, but I do. I differentiate. You, apparently, A, don't know what you're talking about, and B, don't differentiate. You're agreeing with yourself and never admit you're wrong, so you have no credibility. Really, Uncanny Mountain, I literally gave you times when I was proven wrong, and I admitted it, and I pinned it, and I looked at it, and I addressed it in a following and referenced it in a following live stream. I know that this is true because I actually did it. You know jack shit, and you're trying to make up for your lack of argument and coherent assertions by attacking me with ad hominems and putting words in my mouth that I didn't say. And then when all of that fails, you say, you have no credibility. Okay, but somebody who does the things that you are doing in this chat, you think you have credibility? You think you have any leg to stand on? You think you have any ounce of truth behind what you're saying when I've actually proven to you that no, I did not say this. No, that is not what happened. No, that is not who I am. And so you keep attacking and attacking and failing and failing. Sounds familiar, doesn't it? You accuse everyone else of what you're doing. Once again, false. No, I said there are people who are doing things that are wrong and they should be brought to justice. And they should be put on trial. And Israel, I said this full well. Maybe you have a hard of hearing problem, and I hope you get better. Or maybe you have a lack of comprehension problem. Once again, I hope that gets better too. I said that I'm critical of Israel. I'm critical of the government. I'm critical of the establishment. I'm critical of the army. There are those who do things that are wrong. They should be brought to justice and put on trial. So where exactly did I accuse others of doing wrong things that Israel is doing? All I said is that Israel is fighting a defensive war against people who are interested in annihilating Israel, wiping it off the map, eradicating and slaughtering every last man, woman, and child in Israel. And that is fact. That's what these leaders and nations have been trying to do since a long, long time. And there's no denying that. And if you deny that, then, I'm sorry, you have already lost all credibility, but you'll lose even more if that's even possible. Reframe victim and offender. I have no idea what you're... Why are Hamas terrorists? Hamas are terrorists because they use power and they use violence and they use terrorism in order to carry out their agenda, their ideology. They attack not military targets only, which is what you would expect from a combatant situation. They attack civilian populations as part of their ideology. That is how they are terrorists. And they put their own population in the line of fire. They use them as human shields. They put their own munition depots and headquarters and training facilities in hospitals and schools and mosques and private residences. And they built terror tunnels all over Gaza and booby-trapped the crap out of that place to maximize civilian casualties instead of putting the money into actually aiding the population that elected them. And they have not had elections since because they are a bloodthirsty leadership that is a disgusting death cult. That is what they are. So when you're fighting a death cult who revels in death and wants gleefully and happily to sacrifice every last man, woman, and child in Gaza for their cause, that's not terrorism? Really? How blind can you be? Okay. Oh, a super chat came in, I think. Something came in. No, it didn't. My mistake. Let's continue. Scrolling down. What percentage of Ukrainian commissariat were Jewish during the famine? I have no idea, actually. I don't understand the question, to be honest. Which famine do you mean? But let's Google the question, because I don't know what it means. There is no single Jewish percentage for the Ukrainian commissariat because Soviet governance was strictly based on Communist Party membership rather than religious or ethnic quotas. So what, we're talking about the revolution and the Bolsheviks? Is that what you're talking about? I have no idea. But Jews have always been part of leadership and of resistance, right? They've always been sort of on the spectrum there, on the higher or lower echelons. There were those who were in power and there were those who were fighting against. And just like Google AI said, the Soviets kept track of who's in what party, but they didn't keep track, or not as fierce, of the religious affiliation. You accuse Palestinians or Hamas of hiding under civilians, but that's exactly what Israel is doing. Really, Israel is putting its civilians in the line of fire? Where? What are you talking about? What? Hamas is demonstrably doing this with their own population. How is Israel doing this? How is the IDF doing this? I'm curious. Do you think that you think that the Israeli army is sending in civilians that are not in uniform in order to be slaughtered in Gaza? That's what you're saying. That's your contention. That's your story. That is bullshit. I've been on the Gazan border a couple of times in my military service, not inside, mind you, but on the border where other forces were operating inside and we were securing the places outside. So I know that when we were inside of there, the civilians were evacuated because the Israeli army was there. The place that I was at, the civilians were evacuated back so they don't get hit, so they're not compromised. That is Israel. Now take a look at Hamas, deliberately putting their own population in the line of fire. The blood is on their hands, not Israel's. Right? Hamas is doing it for purposes of propaganda, of cynical, religious, ideological martyrdom, because they think that they're doing right by their population by having them all killed. Lord knows why. Wow, you were part of the murder machine. Yes, Rising Gael, the murder machine. The Israeli Defense Forces are a murder machine. Obviously, they are a murder machine. Not the terrorist, bloodthirsty death cult organizations that have actually targeted civilians to begin with non-stop aggression towards military and civilian targets alike, and their own population. No. Israel is the murder machine. The IDF is the murder machine. Yes, I was in the IDF, I was a field medic, and you know what? I took care of Arab, Muslim, Christian, Jews, Druze, and others. And I didn't differentiate between friend and foe. If I was needed there for medical attention, I helped the people that I could in the best possible way that I could. And I gave it my best. Every time. So, it's so silly that you think that this is actually the case, that I was part of the murder machine. It's so telling that you have no idea what you're talking about. Zero. Nothing. Are there people who have murderous instincts and capacities and who carry out murderous things and that are wearing uniforms? Yes. But they are going, more often than not, against the law of Tzahal against local law and international law. They should be put on trial. They should be brought before, right, and put to and justice should be done upon them. I'm agreeing with that. But to say, oh, the IDF is a murder machine. No, it isn't. I was there. I was a low-ranking soldier and just a regular soldier. I wasn't an officer, and I wasn't a leader, and I wasn't a commander. Grant you that. But I saw enough of what I saw and experienced as much as any regular soldier. Right? I was in the army until I was 38. I was mandatory service and then reserve duty until I was 37 or 38. So you can call it a murder machine, and I can say, you're full of shit. So that's it. I think we are at an impasse. Okay. He doesn't care. He's a proud Zionist, and that's where he stands. I'm a Zionist. I'm not a proud Zionist because pride goes before a fall. And likewise, like I said, just because somebody does something in the name of Zionism doesn't give them any kind of justice or morality or ethics. They'd have to show how what they are doing is moral and ethical and virtuous. Just slapping the name of Zionism on something doesn't give it any virtue. So those who do things that are horrible and despicable and reprehensible, I do not care if they slap the label of Zionist on there. I think it's immoral and unethical and reprehensible. And that's it. Just because you call it Zionist doesn't make it so. I don't excuse what anybody does in the name of Zionism just because they say it's Zionism. I'm critical of Zionism, modern day Zionism more specifically. Ariel says, sorry, Jonathan, I know you like to entertain everyone's questions, but some people have no interest in ever being open-minded about the possibilities and simply want to label and accuse, may as well ban. No, I will not ban. I do not ban. Thank you, Ariel. I understand where you're coming from. Lord knows I do. But no, because if I start banning people, no. I want it to be as free and open as possible under the YouTube guidelines, right? I'd like it to be as free and open as possible. And I agree, may as well ban. No, may as well ignore them. But not ban. I don't think so. I don't think so. But the law doesn't hold them accountable. See, and now once again, moving the goalposts and saying, oh, no, it's the law that's not okay. So now we're talking about the law. Now we're not talking about the fact that there is no law. You're saying there is law, but the law doesn't hold them accountable. On that, we can have a discussion. But do you see how when you say things that are full of shit, and when I push back against you a little bit, suddenly you say, oh, no, there is law, but it doesn't find them accountable. Then we can have the discussion about the nature of Israeli law, which I know very little about. So it might be that in this specific instance you are correct. But do you see how you have no leg to stand on, and when I push back against you, suddenly your argument gets smaller and smaller and smaller and less true? And if there is a nugget of truth to your argument, it takes so much to pry it out of you. Why is that? Why do you start with a mountain of shit, and only at the end of it is a tiny nugget of gold, buried deep beneath your bigotry, your hatred? Why? Why is this like that? Why? Can't you come and from the beginning, instead of shouting empty slogans which mean jack shit, why can't you come from the beginning and say, here's what I think, okay, but what about this? Why? Why does it need to be this way? Okay. Jews constantly speak out against pride march. If that's true or not. People, have you found that Jews... Oh, there was a glitch? I'm live, okay. Have you found that there was a glitch? There was a glitch, Freudian slip. Have you found that there were Jews who constantly speak out against pride marches? As far as I know, there's an element of religious Jews that do, and most of the Jews do not speak against pride marches. They may speak on where they choose to do it or where they choose to not do it. I don't know, but I don't think that Jews are constantly speaking out against pride marches. I don't think so. Okay. All right, then. See, once again, Uncanny Mountain with the ad hominems. Say it to a mirror, Shylock. See? These people have nothing to go by, nothing to stand on. They're just baka running their yap. and not really bringing anything to support what they're saying, and attacking with ad hominems and making dramatic and bombastic claims that have no actual foothold in reality. And all it takes is somebody to stand here and say, no, that is false and this is how, you are wrong and here is how, I'm willing to agree on this, but that is false. And suddenly they get smaller and smaller and smaller, and the goalposts keep moving here and there and there. And then eventually it comes right back to the ad hominems. Oh, you're a Shylock! All this does is prove how you have zero credibility, no argument whatsoever, and that you are ignorant of the very things that you purport to stand up for. Because you have nothing. You have nothing. So really, I'm not a debater. I'm just having conversations. If you're ever, just a tip, if you're ever going to go up against an actual debater who knows how to talk, and you want to make these arguments, don't embarrass yourself. Do some research beforehand. Thanks for the commenters for justifying Zionism, says Yaakov. Yeah, that's pretty much it. That's pretty much it. All right, let's go to the poll. Let's end that poll because I'm going to go soon. 321 votes in. Let's look at the poll. 59% say yes, it's technically and practically possible to boycott Israel nowadays. I have no idea how you'd be able to do that, but almost 60% of you say yes. All right, that's cool. You only speak half-truths and deflect. You could argue over me speaking half-truths. That I'm willing to have the discussion about. Deflecting? I am not deflecting. I've been talking to you bungholes for a couple of hours, not deflecting even once. So what you're saying is a lie. The half-truths? That is a conversation we can have. Why didn't Hamas let the Gazans go into tunnels for safety? Oh, I'm sorry, that was someone else. Your whole point is to prove your existence as a Jew and being in Israel, and you're wrong. Oh, really? That's my whole point, is it? To prove my existence as a Jew? No. My whole point in this YouTube thing is to have conversations with people and gather knowledge from people and be entertained by the thought-provoking questions that you people pose, right? Sometimes they are thought-provoking, sometimes they're utter shit, but I take the time to address this or that or the other. Incidentally, people, if I missed you in the chat, it's because there were a lot of people here. The chat was, moving along very quickly. If I missed you in the chat, it's not because I ignored you specifically, intentionally. My apologies. Leave a comment because I address every single comment that is addressed to me that YouTube notifies me of. So please do so. Hit me up in the DMs if you want. Hebrew Nazarite across the board. Look for my tree on X and TikTok, Facebook, and Instagram. I don't post there much, but I'm there for the DMs if you want to have some one-on-one. And if you're saying my whole point is to prove my existence as a Jew, no. My point here on YouTube is to actually have conversations with people about faith, spirituality, religion, self-development, psychology, underarm farts, underleg farts, regular anal farts. These are really important things that we are here to talk about. This is what I am here to do. But people, like you, keep coming at me with this Palestine thing, usually with nothing of actual substance to add to the conversation other than, "Buh, Israel bad, buh." So, that's again just revealing your ignorance. Why even bother? Why even bother to try? I mean, why do I bother? Lord knows. Lord knows why I bother. Okay. Let's see. Okay. So, on that note, I will say goodbye. This has been lovely. I will see you on the next live stream from Jerusalem where the wonders never cease. Be blessed. Be a blessing to others. Be the light in other people's lives. I really, truly hope that you have a wonderful day, a great new week. Last night was a full moon. And let's hope that the good vibes continue throughout this month. And a quick prayer, a prayer. Adonai, we pray for unity and peace and justice and righteousness and benevolence and kindness and grace and love to cover the entirety of all creation as water covers the sea. May we be able to transcend our differences. May we be able to find common ground. May we be able to bridge our gaps. May we be able to become de-radicalized and recognize each other's basic humanity. May we be able to live righteously and walk humbly before you. May we be able to overcome our own weaknesses, our own shortcomings and failures and insufficiencies and frailty, and stand fast and strengthen ourselves with your Torah, strengthen ourselves with good deeds, strengthen ourselves with good words and positive vibrations, and may we be on the side that is giving. May we be on the side that is there to pull people up and strengthen ourselves and others in the process. May it be so. Peace and love from Jerusalem. God willing, I will see you. Tomorrow is June. Tomorrow June starts, and I am on the road to 10K subs. As you may know, I appreciate the likes and the subs and the views and the hate and the love and the encouragement and the Nazis and the spammers and the haters and the insults and the vitriol and on the trolls and all of it. I really deeply appreciate every engagement and all the super chats, super thanks, ad revenue, all of that is going to charity, as I've said before, 100% of it. And even though I don't ask for subs or likes or views, I do want to reach 10K to get to that nice 10K number. As of tomorrow, the format is starting to change for the month of June. If I see that it works, I might continue it. For the month of June, I will be going live with a specific format of each day something else for the 4 or 4.5, whatever it is, 4 weeks of June. And there's going to be Mesilat Yesharim by Rabbi Moshe Chaim Luzzatto, the Tao Te Ching. I'm going to be hopefully reading some poetry, and I will be walking around, right, like I did in the old city. I'm going to be walking around Jerusalem at night, and, doing live streams while walking. We'll see how that goes. And hopefully this will be as of tomorrow. So tomorrow, those who will be joining, God willing, it will be 10 or 11 p.m. Israel time. And I will be starting with the introduction to the book Mesilat Yesharim, a book of lore and philosophy by Rabbi Moshe Chaim Luzzatto, one of the leading Kabbalists from a few hundred years ago, who was in Spain. He was a playwright, he was a poet, he was banned, and he had to run to Amsterdam. He was exiled, he was expelled. They burned his books. It was a great controversy, but I'll get into it tomorrow, I hope. Until then, God bless. Peace and love from Jerusalem. L'chaim, to life.